Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Jessica from the marketing team here at Accusoft. We have a great webinar for you today, an introduction to Prism Doc, the best in document processing integrations for your application. So before we start the webinar, there's a few housekeeping things I'd like to go over. This webinar is going to run for about a half an hour, and we're going to have some time at the end for any questions you may have. Again, if you have any questions, there is a box in the control panel where you can type those in, and we'll be monitoring those and asking for any questions. The webinar is being recorded, and afterwards you'll be sent a link with the recording as well as the presentation. And just some information at the end of the webinar, you will receive a survey. So please give us some feedback. We'd love to know what you thought about the webinar, as well as whether you'd like to be contacted for more information to learn about Prism Doc and get started. So what we're going to go over today, our agenda. First, we're just going to give a little intro to who is Accusoft and what is Prism Doc. We're going to go into the features about what Prism Doc can do and its capabilities, and then really dig into the benefits, so what Prism Doc can really do for you in your application. We'll touch on some social proof, share a case study of a Prism Doc customer, and then finally, how easy it is for you to get started with Prism Doc, the try before you buy. And finally, we'll end with some time for your questions. Who we have today presenting. So Jindy Carter, our Senior Director of Sales, will be running the show and presenting this webinar. And on the line, we also have Tim Griffin, our Sales Manager, and also Mark Fears, our Director of Product Management. And at this time, I'm going to hand it over to Jindy. Jindy, over to you.
Thank you, Jessica. Welcome once again to this afternoon's webinar. So before we get started on the products, I know that who you do business with is just as important as what you're purchasing. So before we jump in and talk about the product, let's talk about who Accusoft is as a company. Accusoft was founded in 1991 under the name Pegasus Imaging. That makes us in our prime at just a little over 30 years old. We are located in beautiful Tampa, Florida, and have over 150 employees to support our products, and most importantly, our 300 clients that Accusoft has worldwide. Accusoft specializes in document lifecycle integrations for your application. We provide software technology to developers who need to add document and image processes to their custom applications. And as you can see, throughout the time, we have acquired many different types of applications, developed many different types of applications, and are well-versed in development needs as when it comes to document integration, viewing, editing, etc. So now that you know a little bit about who we are, Jessica, I'm going to have us move in and let's find out a little bit about who we have on the line with us today. Let's talk about you. We'd really like to know what brought you to this webinar before we get started on the product. So Jessica is going to pop up a few polls here. The first is we really like to understand what industry your business is in. These questions will help us better tailor our webinar today and ensure that you are getting the information you need, as well as help us learn more about what you're needing. So. What industry are you in? And then next up, let's see what the results are here. Looks like we have finance and insurance. Welcome. We can definitely help you with your needs, and then some other here. Next up is our question. We'd really like to understand the size of the business you have. This often pertains to the type of infrastructure you're capable of, where I can speak to the type of infrastructure we can help you with, your deployment types, etc. Smaller businesses tend to have a need for us to provide infrastructure, and then larger ones tend to have infrastructure in place. And we have deployment options for both. All right, so a good mix here with some of our, most of our audience in that 550 to 249 space. Next question is, do you currently have a document viewing and collaboration integration in your application? So are you looking to replace? Are you looking at us today because you need something new and you have a new application? What can we do for you? All right, Jessica, what's the results? Most of you already have a document viewing and collaboration integration. That's good. We're going to talk a little bit about, in our case study today, a little bit about that type, the replacement, and how we can help with that. And second to last question, what features are you looking for? So we make sure we talk about the right things and I hit on the right things. Our document viewing, document PDF editing, assembly, collaboration, file conversion. You can make multiple selections here, so it's all of them that you're interested. Feel free to select all of them. All right, Jessica, let's go and see what our results are. So it looks like most of you are interested in document viewing and then file conversion. We'll talk both about those items pretty in depth about what Prism Doc can do. And then last but not least, second round of features, just to make sure we hit that Prism Doc is a very robust product and sits on a robust platform where we have many features that we can provide you. Are you also interested in annotation, search, document comparison, e-signature, or video capabilities? All right, Jessica, let's see what the results are for those. And it looks like most of you are interested in annotation and redaction, with all of you interested in at least all of these in some capacity. So thank you for that. That really helps guide me as we go through. Let's jump right in. That's enough about us, and we've learned about you. Let's talk about what you're here for. At Accusoft, we are super customer centric and tend to focus on how to solve our clients or our prospective clients' problems. Similar to the survey results we just saw, there are typically three major areas when we talk about document viewing and redaction and editing that software that people really want to solve for. Those three areas are typically secure collaborations, accessibility, and processing multiple file types quickly and efficiently so that the end user gets the best experience possible. We will talk about how the Prism Doc platform can bring value to your application by helping in each of these areas today. So what is Prism Doc moving forward? Essentially, Prism Doc is a platform that includes a collection of document viewing, editing, and collaboration REST APIs that developers can integrate into their web-based applications. Prism Doc can be supported on virtually any platform and in any programming language that supports REST API calls. It also can be integrated into existing applications to render and display dozens of file types, allowing it to flex into any application easily. Prism Doc is accessible and has multiple deployment types, to which we'll talk about in just a few minutes and go into detail on those. Prism Doc is also customizable. It has key features that can be turned on or off. It also comes with a set of user-based permissions to protect proprietary logic, and you can customize the UI to suit your layout and style of your own application. There are three main ways to deploy Prism Doc. For those that need an on-site control and have special security practices or have their own infrastructure, Prism Doc can be deployed as self-hosted. For those that like cloud or don't have the infrastructure set up but need extra security and performance of a dedicated and isolated infrastructure, Accusoft also has the capability to deploy Prism Doc onto a private and cloud environment, private cloud environment for you, right? And then last but not least, if you're just getting your application started, or you just simply prefer to be in a cloud environment where you don't need a private environment and you don't need self-hosted, you always have the choice to deploy in our in Accusoft's cloud environment, where we will always keep you up to date with the latest versions, as well as we will fully manage the back end. All right, let's move on and talk about some of the features. When it comes to features, we got it all. Prism Doc comes with a robust set of features that allow you to take your application to the next level. First and foremost, as many of you said in your survey, is document viewing. Our viewer was built to handle many different file types without needing to download additional software to do things like convert one file type to another. It also allows you to annotate, search and redact, create forms, and then also do document comparison. We also have features that allow you to enhance your application by shortening your end user's workload and become more efficient. For example, Prism Doc has a feature called document assembly, which allows you to identify and then assemble sections of pre-existing text into new editable content. It also includes document automation, where you can create reusable templates to start documents like contracts. It also includes document and PDF editing. This helps enhance your software with docx and PDF file creation, editing, as well as text and image extraction. If your application deals in spreadsheets instead of, or in addition to docx or PDFs, we have that covered as well. So Prism Doc is fully equipped to handle spreadsheet viewing, spreadsheet editing, as well as the native redaction that comes along with processing those file types. So redacting, cell content, search results, add redaction reasons, save without losing any of the benefits that's native to that spreadsheet. It also includes watermarking to add text, diagonal text, and image watermarks to stop unauthorized copying of that particular XLS as well. The platform also includes control user access that allows you to set up groups with permissions that are configurable, as well as version control. And the UI is also completely customizable, giving you that white labeling that you're wanting. You can modify things like menu types, toolbars to appear in your color types and styles so that it matches your application and looks uniform. What I will say, as the sales leader here, I'm really proud to have our product teams operate and our engineering teams the way that they operate here, because one of the things that they constantly are doing is looking at what our customer needs are and innovating. So one of the things that you'll see on this feature set list is hybrid viewing. And just if we want to move forward, this is just one example of how we innovate. So out of all those features, we've chosen to invest in one of the challenges that our clientele expressed to us is that, savings, right? Infrastructure expenses were a big problem. So after that feedback, we as a company went out and did some innovation. Oftentimes, a viewer's work is done on the server side, which you need resourcing, a robust infrastructure in order to process that. So if you're, for example, I notice a lot of you are in the company size where you may have your own infrastructure, and you may have a need where your infrastructure is, closed off and it's on premise. If you're in that example, what hybrid viewing does, it allows you to reduce some of those infrastructure resources and take some of that processing that was being done on the host machines and shifts it to the end user's machines on the browser side. This, of course, creates a resource usage reduction, and it adds value, to the product and to your application as well. So just an example of how how Mark and his team are constantly thinking about innovation, how we invest in the product, etc. All right, so let's summarize. Here's all the feature sets. What can it really do for you? Essentially, Prism Doc allows viewing of multiple file types with high fidelity and speed without the need for additional software. It converts any document or image into a web standard format. It can separate pages of one file into multiple documents or combine them. I believe that was on the survey results too, so it can do that. The viewer is customizable and can be deployed based on your needs and infrastructure as well. On the flip side, as far as editing, Prism Doc helps you edit faster with functionality to help identify and assemble sections of a pre-existing text into new editable content, and has features that help automate the creation of documents and contracts with features like reusable templates. It is, of course, as a feature, has secure collaboration via those groups and permissions, and also has change tracking functionality. And as a recap, if your application needs to consume more than doc files, we even do spreadsheets. Prism Doc can handle any XLSX file type, and that comes with the native editing and redaction functions that XL would typically have, as well as the control accesses that XL would usually have. In summary, what I will say is this: if you find that your application is dealing with multiple file types and you do not want your end user to have to download or open another native application, Prism Doc is for you. If you need secure collaboration integrated into your own application and its viewing experience, Prism Doc is for you. And if your end users need to view anything anywhere at any time, then Prism Doc is for you. And what I will say is just don't take my word for it. I'm in sales, that is my job, but I also like to provide our prospective clients as well as our clients information and proof as it can be provided as a way for you to understand and see what's right for you and your business. So here we have an example. This is one of our clients, Knowledge Lake. Essentially, they had a self-made viewing solution that needed to be replaced. And, also they wanted to move to cloud. So a couple different challenges and a couple different needs there. At one point, they had to make a consumption choice, or they felt like they had to make a consumption choice between, enhancements for the clients that could make them more revenue and make them more profitable, or, you know, again, replacing that viewing, that proprietary viewing experience. And we don't want anybody to be in that position. We want you to be able to do both. And so that's really where we can help, as you see. You know, we are there for you as a vendor and as a provider. And that's exactly what we did for Knowledge Lake, is we helped them replace that proprietary experience and viewing solution with Prism Doc. In turn, they were able to deploy that into their environment, as well as work on the enhancements and have enough engineering time that they needed for their customer enhancements to get them more profitable. So just a good example. You can most definitely, I know these individuals well. If you want to reach out to them, if you see Knowledge Lake, you know, Mr. Brad Porter on LinkedIn, he would be happy to talk to you about Accusoft if you'd like a client reference, and what we can do, as well as you know, how they've used us, and give you that reference. So again, don't take our word for it, take our clients. With that being said, I want to talk to you a little bit about how you get started. If today you saw something that you're more interested in, you want to start a trial, you want to see a demo of a certain feature set, we do have that available to you at Accusoft.com. You can try any of our demos out there, you know, everything from document viewing and editing all the way down to example mobile UIs are in our demos that you can see. As well as if you want to touch and feel, you can start a free trial at Accusoft.com. It is an unlimited trial license. The other option is, if you really saw something, you really have questions, we're going to have a Q&A at the end here in just a few moments. But if you have questions, you want to speak to someone about price or something like that, we can put you in touch with a sales rep. Go ahead and drop your name and email into the channel there in chat, and Jessica can make sure that someone definitely gets back to you on those questions. But essentially, you don't have to speak to anyone to try or see. Just go out to Accusoft.com and go out and look at those demos or start your free trial today. What I will say is, last but not least, and I always put this in just so everyone understands, as a company who has many different engineers, we really do understand what it takes to do new integrations or replacing old ones. So we've made it our business, outside of just the technology that we provide, to be prepared to help you at every step of the way, whether that's planning your new integration or launching it. We want to be there for you. So we have both a set of developers and customer success individuals that are ready to jump in, whether that be with you virtually or whether that be on site with you at any moment. We don't give you a piece of technology and leave you alone. We definitely are there as you need our help. We can do things like stand up a proof of concept alongside you to make sure that your application can consume and work appropriately, and that then from there help you deploy, even assist you in training with deployments and things like that. So whatever you need, we're there for you all along the way. We really do enjoy being part of our clients' success. That's one of the things that here over the last 30 years that Accusoft has prided itself in. So with that being said, this does conclude our presentation for today. Jessica, what questions can our team answer, if any?
Sure, Jindy. So there's a couple common questions I'm going to read to you, but just a reminder for anybody on the line, you can type those questions into your control panel, and we will read them out and get them answered for you. But so Jindy, can you just remind everybody what are some of the deployment options that they can use with Prism Doc?
Sure. So we have multiple deployment options that fit into 3 buckets: self-hosted, private cloud hosted, and then cloud hosted, all of which offer different benefits. Self-hosted, just to be reminded, that is if you have your own infrastructure, you need that control over your configuration. We can provide that. That private cloud where we deploy into a cloud environment that's fully managed, but it's private and isolated. And then, an open cloud environment where you can connect fully. We manage the back end, and you're always up to date.
Great, thank you. Okay, so we do actually have a question about hybrid viewing, asking about the hybrid viewing, specifically component licensing. So I'm assuming that has to do with the hybrid viewing licensing model.
It absolutely does. And this is where I will say, Tim, I'm going to shoot this one over to Tim and see if he can answer that, or Mark.
Okay. Hello, everyone. As far as the licensing model for Prism Doc in general, technically or generally, it's a transaction-based model with a number of documents viewed or converted that take place, and then on a periodic basis. And so, from a hybrid viewing perspective, there's no client license, user license kind of a scenario that needs to be licensed in order to do the processing and viewing down at the browser at all. So it would be basically a license based on the number of transactions that are taking place on an ongoing basis.
Great, thanks, Tim. Okay, so Jindy, you talked a bit about the trials, but how can somebody get started with a POC with Accusoft? What's the best and the quickest way?
So there's a couple different ways you can get started with a proof of concept here at Accusoft. The first is, after this webinar is concluded, there will be a survey. In that survey, there will be a question on whether you want follow-up. If you answer yes to that, you will be contacted by one of our representatives, where we will get your use case, and then we will put you in touch with someone that can help review your requirements, features, things like integrations that you need, etc. And that is how you get started that way. So just answer yes to that survey, and that is one way. The second way is you can definitely in chat right now tell Jessica that you want to see a POC, and we can definitely put you in touch with a sales rep and have someone call you back. But essentially, once you're engaged in a POC, our solution architects make themselves available to share their expertise and help you move forward at integrating the product. But yes, answer yes to that survey question, and we'll ensure someone gets you started into that process if that's what you're interested in.
Great. And question on cost. So just a generic question about how much does Prism Doc cost? I know that's kind of a...
Sure. Costs are based on an individual basis. Accusoft offers very flexible and scalable pricing options, such as like metered licensing models, etc. So what I would suggest there is we really do tailor to the business here. It's one of the things that I think is really great. We try to understand your business, your budget, your needs, etc. So again, best way to figure out exactly what it costs you is to contact us or press yes on that survey, or just let us know in chat right now that you would like to be contacted, and we can get you some pricing structures pretty quickly, just after a few questions.
Great. And the last question is where they can get some sample code, and I think that goes along with the the trials as well.
Yeah, sure. You can get sample code at any point in time at Accusoft.com. You can get started with the trial there without having to talk to anybody, and ask any questions via chat as well as on our website. So again, if you want to see sample code, that's going to be at Accusoft.com.
Okay, there's a question here about whether we have REST APIs to be able to convert different types of files to PDF-A.
I'm going to toss that question over to Mark. REST APIs to convert PDF-A. Mark?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Yes, absolutely. We have the ability to where you can take your PDFs and convert them to PDF-A to B, which is the most common for people are doing archiving in. But yes, that's absolutely supported. Thanks for asking.
Great, and that is all the questions I see in here now. I think we're all set with questions. And again, if anyone has any follow-up questions, you know, in the follow-up survey, you can have a chance to be contacted with your questions.
All right, perfect. I hope that we were able to accomplish what you signed up for. We certainly appreciate you taking, we know your time is valuable, and we certainly appreciate you all taking your time to spend this 30 minutes with us. Again, if you would like to start a trial or speak to anyone, you can go to Accusoft.com to start your trial, or again, answer yes on that survey question. We can most certainly make sure you're in touch with someone. With that being said, I enjoyed the time. I hope to speak to each of you soon, and have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.